Hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour for this week.
Andrew Johns goes for the score.
So while he's an out-and-out champion, you can't coach what he's doing.
Andrew kicks back and across. It has been a freakish kick by Andrew Johns.
Give me Father Fry said.
Maybe God has come to Marathon.
Well, welcome to another episode of Immortal Behaviour. Joey, great to see you.
We're going to talk about South today.
I think we are. It's the hot topic. Can you
I
believe
gathered that.
just how quickly this is
Yep, I can.
happened?
It's a soap opera. And South is probably the most famous club. Yeah.
So they were
The soap opera, which is rugby league.
They were flying, say a month ago?
A bit more.
6 weeks ago,
Yep.
they were flying.
Yep.
Struggling, some losses, some big losses as well. They had that loss to Cronulla over in Perth. There were some big losses, a lot of question marks.
They went to Cairns. They've had a lot of travel. Then they went to Cairns and beat St George. Then they got rolled by the Knights last week.
And then
I actually watched the game back, the Knights game. They weren't as bad as what people make out. There was 2 or 3 tries which any other day would have been tries. It was just great desperation by the Knights. Look, they were off the pace for what Souths were, but they weren't as horrible as what people are making out.
But then the fallout from that and what's happened this week. So Sam Burgess has left the club. John Morris, their other assistant, he signed with the Tigers for next year. And yesterday they had to have the coach, the CEO, everyone come out and talk about it.
It should have been nipped in the bud months ago. I think everyone can see that. It's festered and festered and festered, then finally it's erupted. What's today? Was it Monday it erupted all? It all erupted? But there's been talk of it. And the rumour mill, which is rugby league, the rumours have been there for a while and it's just got stronger and stronger to a point of no return.
So has this and the fallout that we've seen this week, has this imploded and really impacted their season? Do you see South now making the finals?
No, I don't. They've got a huge game coming up next weekend against the Roosters. But you think if they make the semis, you think they wouldn't advance. But that game next week takes on so much importance, not only for South, but the coach and everyone involved. And you know what, it's up to the senior players. They've got the bye this weekend. The senior players to get them all in, away from everyone, away from the coach, away from management, and just go, right, let's go. We've got 10 days from now to prepare for this game, 10 days or however long. We're going to prepare, get yourself up. We're going to get out there and we're going to win, whatever it takes.
Because how much, I know when you ask a lot of players, they say, oh, whatever's happening behind, at the boardroom or, the front office, it doesn't impact us. But realistically, how much does all that speculation, that drama that's happening inside a club impact the players?
Well, it gives them an out. It gives them an easy out. Some players, but it's just this time of year. It's hard to fathom that it's got to this. When they're close to being in the semi-finals, it's a mess.
Do you think it's the right decision to let Sam Burgess go?
Until you're in there, it's all speculation. You're hearing this and that, different sides, and there's different spin. But you think about Sam's personality and the way he played and the way he trained. He had those standards. He doesn't mince words, so you imagine maybe he would have been too honest. And look, it's normal. That's the job of your assistant coach, I'd imagine. You've got to be challenging the head coach all the time. So for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out. Sam's off to the UK, which I think he'll have great success at Warrington.
If their season does end next week when they take on the Roosters, is there danger that this can then bleed into their off season?
Well, it's going to just keep lingering. The press is just going to keep writing about it. So they need to nip it in the bud now. They need to make some changes, which I'd say had already happened, but they can't be starting off season next year in November or whenever they get back and this hanging around the club, which they know. Hopefully they sort it out.
Is it one of the most bizarre ones, especially timing? No. Well, I know we've had some bizarre ones in rugby league. We won't even go there.
We can go.
But just in terms of the timing.
Well, the timing of it and also the status in which Sam Burgess is at the Rabbitohs. Like Sam's not a legend of the club, is an icon.
Yeah.
And he's up there with John Sattler and Ronnie Coote and Tugger Coleman, Mario, all these guys. He's up there in that status. They wouldn't have won a comp without Sam.
Yeah.
Sam got there and he's a winner.
And he's a
he
leader.
He's a leader. He's a warrior, Sam. Because Sam's involved. Also, he's so high profile. Sam, as he's an icon of the club. I think it just adds to all the soap opera.
So he's obviously going off to the Super League to take on his first head coaching job over there. Do you think we will see him back in the NRL? Do you think he could be a South Sydney coach in years to come?
Maybe. It's a good opportunity for him to do his apprenticeship over in England. He's in a strong club who is a strong owner in Simon Moran who will support Sam. They've got a really good list. You imagine the English boys or anyone playing under Sam, they'd lift. He'll motivate them and lift them. I think he'll have great success as a coach.
How many years do you think you'd want a coach to have in the Super League before they do come back to the NRL?
It's hard to put a number on it, but you look at a lot of coaches have gone over there. Justin Holbrook went over there, did his apprenticeship. So 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years, yeah. All right. Moving on, still on South Sydney though, Latrell Mitchell. Is it fair to criticise his recent performances? Being the superstar that he is, there's always going to be, opinions on him and how he's playing.
He hasn't been at his best the last fortnight, but Latrell's not that player. I think people and critics are comparing him to a Tedesco or a Reece Walsh or a Kalen or a Dylan Edwards, who's in the play all the time. That's not Latrell. That's not how he plays. But his form has been down. There's been some worrying clips which have been aired recently of some of his efforts. But we've got to remember, Latrell's not the same player as Dylan Edwards and a Tedesco.
Because that's the thing you often hear about when there is criticism surrounding Latrell. People say, is he fit enough to be that top class fullback? But
he's not fit enough to be Dylan Edwards. He's not fit enough to be Tedesco, but he's fit enough to be Latrell Mitchell. And he's so smart. He knows when to bring himself into the game, and there's times when he takes himself out of the game. But when he injects himself, it's breathtaking how good he is. But you got to realise that's the player he is. Think back to Steve Menzies. He's not a Ben Kennedy who does all the hit-ups. But when a try needed to be scored, Beaver would pop up. He's not that sort of fullback, Latrell. Whether he goes back to centre, I don't know.
Where would you, if you were in charge of the team, where would you see him fit best?
Still fullback. At club level, at representative level, he's a centre, but I still think at club level, look, everyone can see Latrell needs to tweak a couple of things. He's got a big off-season in front of him. I think this will provide motivation for him, and I think he will. He'll come back next year as a different player.
Well, also too, he did have a number of weeks out with that calf injury this year.
It was like 10 weeks.
It was 10 weeks.
It was amazing.
So you think about also fitness-wise, during that time off, like it's your calf, you're not being able to...
won't be able to run. So if you look right into it, there are excuses, but at the end of the day, it's professional footy. You just got to get yourself rock hard fit, ready to play, which I think he'll be ready. Round 1 next year, I think you'll see a different Latrell.
Well, as it always is in rugby league, the rumour mill is in full throttle. I think I read somewhere this morning, there's messages saying maybe Jack Wighton could be considering backflipping on his contract. If you could say anything to Jack, what would you say? Would you say?
Well, you've signed a contract.
Yeah.
Once you sign a contract, it's you're giving your word.
99% of the time.
Yes. Yes.
But do you see Souths picking back up next year?
Yes. Yeah, I think
just
they will.
because they're a strong club.
Look, out of this chaos, they can grow from this. And however painful it is, there's a line in the sand. And they can run away for it or they can fix it. And I think they'll fix it. There's enough strong personalities at the club and there's enough talent there. There's enough great young talent. We saw Trent Munro emerge this year, the young winger. They got players coming through the ranks. So they'll sort this out, they'll fix it, and then you'll see a different club next year.
Do you reckon Ricky would be going, hang on a second, Jack, stay?
Maybe. Who knows what happens? And look, the talk of Cody walking out of training and being frustrated, that happens all the time. Especially ball players who are emotional like Cody. There's times I'd walk off the field for whatever, had the shits about something or something wasn't working or something to storm off the field. Obviously I'm a diva. But Cody's the same sort of player. He's very emotional. and he
Do you
likes
remember-
things to be known.
Do you remember a moment that you?
Oh, there's plenty of times.
What
Plenty of
one
times.
in particular?
Oh, there was just times when I didn't agree with what we're doing, or plays weren't coming off, or players weren't doing what I wanted them to do, or I was carrying on like a knobhead, and I'd just storm off. They got all used to it though. Like, here goes the diva.
Would you come back on your own accord, or would someone?
Sometimes.
Who would come? Can I guess? Would Bedsy have to come and get
Bedsy
you?
come around. Bedsy or Mark Hughes come put an arm around. Come on, mate.
It's not that bad. Come back.
Sorry, boys. They're like, whatever.
Was there ever a time that you had a massive blow up at training?
Yeah,
just
it's
pure
all the time.
frustration?
It's them all the time. It's part of players who are emotional, competitive. They want to win constantly. It happens all the time.
Would you be concerned if it's the other way?
I'd be concerned if it was the other way.
Wasn't? Yeah.
Well, they're just like, oh, it didn't work, so what? Look, Cody for me he's that sort of player. He's emotional. He wants things done right. So this thing, and there's talked it in video sessions. Look, it gets heated all the time. There's push and shoves at training. In video sessions, there's tense words. There's talk about Cameron Murray and Latrell having words. So what? Having words in team meetings. What happens in a team meeting should never ever leave. Things that are said in team meetings, that's your bunker. Nothing should ever get out from there.
Did you have full arguments in team meetings?
For sure. There was real testy conversations and disagreements, but then you got it out and then you work through it. Sometimes you agree, sometimes you agree to disagree. But it's all a part of winning and being competitive and having emotional, strong characters within your team. It happens all the time. And it's amplified when you're not winning.
That's it. Fractions look.
Senior players, or the best players, get more leash for whatever reason. And when you're winning, nothing happens. It just comes out when you're losing. Not everyone's treated the same. And you go back in history at all the great coaches. Who's the best man manager we've seen in rugby league? Would be Wayne Bennett. He wouldn't have treated Alan Linger the same as he would, say, Darren Lockyer. They're different personalities. And Latrell was the same. When Wayne was coaching Latrell, he let him go back to farm. If you look, the greatest coach, man management of all time, managing egos, was Phil Jackson at the Chicago Bulls. And in that doco, The Last Dance, or The Final Dance, he spoke about how we would manage Michael Jordan, how we would manage Dennis Rodman. There's times when you'd see Dennis getting ready, he'd say, you know what, go to Vegas for 4 days, get it out of your system.
Yeah. Because everyone's such a different personality in a team. Some people need that freedom, some people need that escape, whereas some people need to have rules, regulations,
you need a kick in the backside. Some need the kick in the backside. Some need an arm around them. Some need, freedom to get away from it. Some just need that hard-nosed training all the time. What was your style? What did you need? I had a bit of both. Sometimes I need an arm around me. Sometimes I need a kick in the backside. There's times when the coach said, look, just get up the coast for 2 days and go surfing. So I'd head up to Foster or somewhere like that for 2 days and go surfing. But you wouldn't take the piss. If the coach gave you that freedom,
then you'd want to come back.
You'd have to repay them. At the moment, because they're losing, this is all amplified. But it goes on in every club.
All right, moving on. Finals footy. How much do you enjoy, or did you enjoy this time of year?
Loved it.
When it starts to get a little bit warmer outside.
Well, today you wake up, it's warmer. It's easy to get out of bed. You go to training, shirts are off. Well, I'd never take my shirt off. But it's just a great time of year, and you can see the end. You can see the tougher footy coming. And it's usually this time where, I know Newcastle and other clubs do it, you take one sacrifice, whatever it would be. So whether it be...
What would your sacrifice
mine
be?
would not having a beer.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have a beer till we finished, which made Mad Monday even more excitable. And other players would say, right, I usually have a pizza midweek. Let's stop having a pizza.
Yeah.
It's just that sacrifice when you do it collectively.
When would you do it? Say 2 weeks out?
A couple of weeks out from the semi,
Could you feel the difference in your body?
No. But mentally, you're looking for that extra 1 or 2 or 5%. Maybe that provides it. Whether it's mental, you're going into a battle and, I'm ready to go. But this time of year, when you make those sacrifices and it's warmer, you're treating your injuries, you're very diligent in the way you're treating your injuries and you're preparing. It's just a great time.
Would you change anything else apart from saying steer clear of the booze for a little bit?
No, not really. No.
Keep everything else the same?
routine pretty much the same, but just make sure you're really healthy and giving yourself every opportunity to play at your best. You need so much luck this time of year. You need all your key players fully fit and firing, and everyone, pretty much you need that healthy roster. You have a look at other clubs who have got injuries. You look at Parramatta leading in a month ago, Regan Campbell-Gillard gone, Suvo suspended. Then Mitchell Moses gets injured. Dylan Brown was suspended for 7 weeks. You can't have that.
Yeah,
you can't have that.
It hurts your team. It hurts.
And then you look at
chances.
Penrith. Pretty much they're fully fit. They're firing.
Yeah.
Brisbane.
And everyone's getting a little bit of a break.
Yep.
One game off.
Brisbane fully fit, firing. Storm getting Pappenhausen back, fully fit. They're the team's going to be hard to beat. Warriors, Newcastle.
Yeah.
You need to be firing this time of year. You need luck with injuries and suspension. Then you get on that roll.
All right, well, let's finish off with a little quiz. All right, what was your first finals game? Do you remember it?
In first grade?
Yep.
Was 95.
Yep.
It was against Cronulla?
No, North Sydney.
North Sydney. Can't
1995 qualifying final against North Sydney. You won 20-10. Don't look at the rest of them.
No.
Bit of...
Well, it's only 28 years ago.
28 years ago. Wow. All right, your first finals try.
Was it against Cronulla the next week?
No.
No. Manly? No.
No.
So I think we went North Sydney, I can't remember that. Then we beat Cronulla.
It wasn't 1995.
Okay. 97?
Yep.
Against
The Eels.
The Eels.
Yep. 28, you won 28-10.
I think that's where I broke my ribs. Yes, that's where I broke my ribs.
Biggest finals
In that
crowd.
try.
In that try.
Yeah, in that try. Jason Smith came in as cover and his knees went doink.
Oof.
3 broken ribs.
That's got to hurt. The breathing. Biggest finals crowd. Now, you probably won't know this one, but this is actually pretty remarkable. 2001 grand final, 90,414.
Wow. That was the first nighttime grand final too. That obviously is sellout.
Yeah, well, and that's not the biggest crowd you ever played in front of. You played in front of...
That was the opening.
104,000, 1999.
That's when the Olympic Stadium, it was an oval and they had those big wings at the end. Yeah, we played Manly, I think, in that opener. That was incredible.
That's great, 104,000.
But it was so big, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like 50 at Suncorp.
Is louder than right, okay, because of the way that it's
so
the
far
way that it's
away.
built. Biggest finals win. Do you remember this one?
I would go Roosters. 2001.
Yep.
What was that? I don't
40
know.
to 6.
40-6. That game I go and do the toss, and Freddie wasn't there. It was Rico, and I'm like, "Where's Freddie?" He goes, "Oh, he's on the toilet." I went, "Oh, okay." So we run out on the field, and Freddie the week before got his lip split, and it got infected. So he was like a Kardashian. It was like that, and I'm looking at him like that, and I called Ben Kennedy and Steve Simpson over, and pointed like that.
Looked like he got a bit of plastic,
like
a little...
one of those plastic heads. So that game, we scored late in that game. I think Ben Kennedy got a runaway try with that 5 minutes to go. And I remember I was following down and he scored and everyone's jumping. And at that moment, I went, we're going to win the competition. We're going to win it. And that time of the year, we had everyone available. We're all fit. The next couple of years, we had injuries. We could have won 3 or 4 comps if we had that luck. 2000, I threw the intercept against Freddie, which hurts. I lost in the game, that one. I don't know whether we would have been Brisbane in the grand final, but it would have...
I always find it interesting, that moment that clicks and where
was the
players
moment.
go, we're going to win this.
When Ben Kennedy scored this try late, I think I chipped and chased and got it and then passed it to BK. I remember seeing the big unit run away and I went, we got it. We'll win the comp this year. It's such an interesting, such a good time.
Yeah, because I even remember speaking to some of the Roosters players a number of years ago. I think it was one of the years that they won premiership and they didn't start the year that well. And there was a bit of pressure on them.
02 did they win it? 04 or something?
No, it was later than that. And
not when Freddie was playing?
No.
Okay.
This is the 2000 and 2018. And they said, they're like, no, we're going to win it.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Such a great time. When it all clicks and everyone's on board and everyone's confidence is up, everyone's fit. It's just, you can't describe how good a feeling it is going into a game, driving down the freeway and there's just 100 buses following you down. It was such a good time in your life. And they're experiencing it now.
Yeah.
I watched Kalen last week at the after the bell, and he was just jumping. You could see just the euphoria and how pumped he was, and he was clapping at the crowd. And then Tyson Gamble was banging it, the emblem. Yeah. I was just like, just triggered so many good memories. And I'm so pumped they're experiencing that.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going up to Newcastle on Sunday, so if you're a Newcastle Hunter local,
30,000.
Sell
out.
Make sure
it's
you
going to be
there.
so good.
All right, we'll enjoy your footy over the weekend. We'll catch you again next week.